Okay, so I've decided to make a video on how to measure inrush current to your basement AC. And as you can see, I've taken apart the main power panel on the right and the sub-main power panel on the left, which is also known as your inverter power panel because it receives power from the inverter when it's working. Notice that there is no inverter power that's provided to any of the circuit breakers on the right, and all those appliances would not normally run on inverter power anyway. And the other point to mention is down below is that bottom board on the right. That's the Intelitech Energy Management System 620 board, and that's the load shedder, which only sheds power when on 30 amp and on 20 amp. And the other point I want to say is that you don't actually see the amps on your display in your power center when you're on 50 amps because it would confuse you for reasons I'll explain later. But you will see it when you're running generator power or when you're on 30 amp or 20 amp service, because it's signaling that your load shedder, that 620 board on the bottom, is working. Okay, so now let's move ahead. I've put two clamp meters on my L1, the red wire, and the orange clamp on the left is connected to the neutral. And I want to find out how many neutral amps it reads when I've got both L1 and L2 working. So this might be interesting. The clamp on the front, the red clamp meter, is capable of measuring inrush, so we should be able to see this spike up at first when the compressor first starts and then settle down to its steady state. Okay, let's begin. Let me go over to the, got to get over to the thermostat. Here you go. And as you can see, it says it's 82 degrees inside my RV right now. I've turned it on to auto, and I'm going to force the compressors to turn on by lowering the temperatures. I prefer to do it this way rather than using these manual switches because these switches are kind of cheap and wear out over time. I'd rather turn on my compressor this way. Oh, look at this. And here's the inrush at 47. Okay, and you can see the frequency on top around 60 where it should be. I'm going to release it now. And now you're seeing that on L1 the amps are 11. So let's move this up now to L2 and see what we get. And its inrush just flipped up to 44 amps for inrush, and it settles back down around 10.5. So that's pretty interesting in my opinion. I chose to measure inrush here because I could turn off all the circuit breakers, and it's cooler inside my coach than outside, and I didn't want to take apart the basement AC. So if we've got 11 amps right now on the number 2, let me get some light in here. The L2 line, the black wire, and I'm going to move this over here to put this on L1. Put this in here. There we go. Let me release that. And the L1 is showing 8 amps, which is interesting. Okay. I'm not too sure if when you're reading amps, there is some sort of a cancellation that can go on. So I'm going to take this off. And we come over here to this clamp meter, which is it was a different meter, and all meters read a little differently. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to turn it back on. I'm going to reset it. And it's only showing 8.7 on the neutral return line. And I'm on shore power, so I'm not too sure what to make of that. And maybe someone could explain why, if I'm getting 11 amps on L2 and I'm getting, you know, like, what did it say, 8 or 9 amps on L1, why is the neutral only showing, you know, about 9 amps, as you could read right there? That's the question. But I hope you find this video informative, and I'll follow it up with some other videos on inrush current when I actually mess around with the start capacitors and the hard start kit. Okay, over and out.